Hey folks, welcome back to another video. Join me in sunny North Wales. It is a beautiful day. Your widths are up there somewhere if you can see that in shot. My house just over there somewhere. One of those days when you just like feel happy to live somewhere amazing like this and have a day off as well. Boy's just sniffing around, doing the rounds as he normally does. I thought I'd do a video today as the weather is so good, and I was only working till about 10 o'clock just to see a mountain leader assessment going on this week. So I've just met them but sent them off with Mike for the start of their exped tonight. They've got some good weather for it. Night nav probably won't be too tricky. I think it's almost a full moon as well, so they're winning. A short video today. Question I get asked a lot. I'm always a bit sceptical when I hear that phrase on YouTube or Instagram. I get asked this question a lot. I don't really believe people most of the time. I do get asked this a fair bit. It's whether it's okay to use snap gates on belay setups, you know, when you're building your anchor system. So what I'll do is I'll set something up quickly on my usual bit of wall over here, and then we'll run through it, but I'll keep it short and sharp as best I can. Right, you join me back on my bit of wall that you'll recognise from many other videos. Works really well for this kind of thing. Apologies for two things: bit of camera wobble, windier than it looks today, and two, noise from aircraft. There's loads of jets flying around today, military ones, and there's the RAF trainer planes as well, and they make a right racket. Sounds like World War II, so sorry for any extra noise and what have you, but let's get on with it. So today's video is about whether it's okay to use snap gates as part of your belay setup, okay? I guess first off, it's worth thinking about what I've got in the way of screw gates on my personal rack, because obviously that's a little bit different to when I'm out working. I've got one screw gate on my gigajoule, which I'm still using. I'm still really enjoying using that. It works really well for what I want out of a sort of a trad belay device. But I can kind of discount that as a screw gate. There's no use in terms of building a belay. What I do have are 3 spare ones. So I've got a big HMS style one. That's the kind of thing I clove hitch into and make myself safe on. And then I've got 2 others. I've got a small D-shaped one, and I've got a mini, what I call a mini HMS. They're all DMM ones because DMM factory is just down there, so it's nice to support local. So that's got what I've got to play with in terms of screw gates. In terms of snap gates, I've probably got loads of them really, haven't I? On my personal rack, which is what this is, I've got my skinny slings, and they're racked on a snap gate. And then I'm going to have loads of quick draws as the leader, whether it's these sling draws or regular ones. Even my nut key around the back is on a snap gate, so that's usable as well, isn't it? My prussics are on a snap gate, that's usable if necessary as well. What you'll see in textbooks though, or instructors like me and guides and what have you teaching beginners to build belays, is probably everything having a screw gate on it, because it's kind of like, why not? We're probably operating on diffs and V-diffs, so nice steady climbs, you know, where weight and stuff doesn't matter. And when you're learning, you haven't necessarily got all those judgments that we might need to make some of the finer point decisions, I suppose. So I've got 2 bits of kit in here. Let's assume 2's all I need. Sometimes I'll come on to this in a minute, we might need more than 2. I'll put a screw gate on both of them, they're both decent. And let's just ignore the fact that I've got some snap gates for now. Just going to clip my sling in, just do a sort of standard setup. I'm sliding the join out the way just by default, keep it out the way. And I'm going to do it up straight away so I don't forget in a minute. I can forget as much as anyone, so let's make my life as easy as possible. And then, you know, a standard master point. I'm going to do a figure of 8, because this is a skinny 6mm sling, 6mm sling, off my regular personal rack. And then get my sort of big fat HMS, clip that in, clip it and flip it, done another video on that, and I'll clove hitch in to that. Get a little twist out of it just so it looks nice. I like things to look aesthetically pleasing, and that means it kind of, I just feel if everything's neat and tidy, it's easier to check and keep track of as well. Give it the final double check as always. There we go, belt and braces. If you've got screw gates, why not use screw gates? As soon as I've got a 3rd bit though, that's the only screw gate I've got left, and I kind of need that one. And actually, I might want to belay in guide mode as well, so I'd need one of those screw gates back. So let's move on from that with a quick note. If you're a beginner, just carry a couple more screw gates, you know, rack your slings on screw gates, maybe have 1 or 2 more spare. Only flipping loads of them, we've just got a couple more, going to make your life a bit easier. Let's lose this one though. Let's assume that, let's just take that off there. Let's assume that out of these two, that's my best bit of kit. So I'm kind of putting a screw gate on my best bit, just to look after that as best as possible. In this case, they're both really good, but the principle, I quite like that as a general guide. Snap gate on there, get that twist out sling. Okay, so no different, is it? Is it any safer or less safe? You know, in the whole scheme of things, there's nothing unsafe about that, right? Okay, it's a snap gate. It can open. Got to accept that, haven't we? But how can that snap gate open itself? On a belay, we talk about keeping them snug all the time. So, you know, I'm leaning on that, aren't I? I'm not like a hanging belay, I'm on a ledge, but I'm still weighting it. I'm not going loose, tight, loose, tight, loose, tight, where things can start to move around a bit. I'm keeping it snug all the time, so I don't introduce any shock into it should my mate fall off. Now, if a carabiner, especially a snap gate, is against an edge, well, there is the chance of it being opened, isn't there? Does that matter? Well, this carabiner particularly is 23 kilonewtons strong that way. If the gate is open, it's weakened to 9 kilonewtons. So that's quite a reduction, isn't it? Larger size nuts here, so they're stronger than 9 kilonewtons, but my smaller nuts will be less than 9 kilonewtons depending on what they are. So I have weakened it, and you kind of think that if it does open and things move around as I get pulled, because maybe I haven't thought about my ABC, then there is some sort of slim chance of a sling coming out or something. I'm not talking about, you know, nuts exploding here. I'm talking about the clip itself failing for whatever reason. Would it matter if that one came out, the one that's got the snap gate? Well, I mean, it's not going to be the best feeling in the world, is it, to sort of swing onto the one nut? Not by any stretch of the imagination. We're going to have a moment if that happens, aren't we? But there is some redundancy there. This one, with the big HMS that I'm clove-hitched into, it's like a single point of failure, isn't it? If that goes, I'm off, okay? So whilst it might be okay to have snap gates up there, this one, I really do want it to be a screw gate, okay? I use the big HMS in case I want to have, I might need more than one clove-hitch in some circumstances, but for here, just the one. But I do want it to be a screw gate. Not only is it a single point of failure, there's potentially a lot more movement going on up here. I've said I'm weighting the belay, right? But here, I might have my guide plate going on, so there's ropes moving, hands moving. When it's time to do the changeover at a belay, there's people clipping in, clipping out, that kind of stuff, and maybe a couple of people if I'm working. So that just gives me a bit of extra security by having that screw gate there as well. Could I change that to a snap gate and be perfectly safe? Yeah, absolutely. I've said already that maybe if it's going to be, if I've got a third point, for example, I just haven't got any screw gates left potentially, have I? By the time I've used my belay plate in guide mode, that only leaves me 2 spare. I've used 1 there. So is that okay? Well, they're in space, they can't possibly touch anything, but that's on this particular setup. What could you do if you were worried about, you know, you really would like a screw gate on one of them, but you haven't got any left? Well, you can just oppose them, so you put that the opposite way, clip it into the same things, flip. And in my mind, really, that's as good as a screw gate now, in terms of there's really no chance of that coming open, is there? But remember, this one, I do definitely want that one to be a screw gate. So if you've got multiple points, I'm going to have to with my rack. That's just the way it is, okay? So why do we teach beginners to use screw gates? Well, it's because they just haven't had a chance to build up all that sort of, you know, load of experience to make those judgments and the right decisions and what have you. And there's a lot going on when you're sort of learning to trad climb. There's loads of things to think about. So just by using screw gates and everything, it's fully belt and braces. It's just kind of one thing that less that can go wrong. But as you progress through your climbing, you want to slim the rack down a bit. Instead of cruising around on diffs and V-diffs, nice steady climbs, if you're in other countries they're the sort of lower grades, you might be on something harder. And you know, you might want to have less kit on your harness. You know, it saves a bit of weight. It's just neater and it's easier to rack and just all a bit more comfortable, isn't it? And then you'll have all that, you know, all those experience that help you make good decisions and judgments based on where you are, so you can pick appropriately, can't you? But at the beginner level, like I say, there's just so much going on in climbing. There's a lot of stress factors. Even hanging above space is going to be making your mind go a little bit. So if in doubt, stick with screw gates, but as you progress, absolutely you're going to use snap gates. I don't really like, one thing just to finally mention is I don't like to see a quick draw involved where you end up having 2 clips, one at either end, and then linking in, just because it's kind of extra points, it's extra links in the safety chain is what we call it. So I'd rather just sort of take the quick draw apart a little bit and use them appropriately there, because I just find that in reality it doesn't cause much extra faff to do that. So there you go, hope that was useful. As always, do fire away with any questions, happy to answer as best I can. I am going to do that traverse video that people keep asking for. It just, I've really got to get psyched for it because it is a big one with lots of different camera angles and extra faff and what have you, but I will get it done, I promise. Fire away those questions though, find us on Instagram, on Facebook. There's a competition on Instagram to win a load of chalk if you want to do that, but be quick because it ends in a week's time. So if you're watching this video in the future sometime, sorry, you might have missed out on that one. But do you know, follow us and like us on there because you know, extra information, competitions and what have you, all that kind of stuff. As always though, thanks very much for watching. More videos coming up very soon.